What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and Democrats that have been supporting monthly reoccurring stimulus checks are beginning to disagree with some of the things that President Joe Biden is saying. I'm going to be sharing with you the video footage, and they're saying stop playing the blame game. It's time to just take care of the American people and take action in a way that does not add to debt and inflation. Let me know your thoughts, you guys. I've got the video footage. This is your breaking news, stimulus check update, stimulus package update, inflation update, and recession update. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you two clips. One is going to be the Democratic perspective with Representative Ro Khanna, and you're going to hear him say something that's almost contrary to what we've been hearing from Biden, and that is, listen, we have got to take responsibility. Inflation is here to stay, and we need to focus on how to help people out at this time. As we heard President Joe Biden recently say, it's not his fault. He was letting us know it's Putin's inflation, it's the fault of the GOP, and that they were going to be taking efforts to get things done, but we haven't really gotten any direction on that yet. Also, I'm going to be sharing with you video footage from the Republican perspective, and they're going to be saying this is Biden's inflation. He needs to take responsibility for this, and that it was mostly caused by the American Rescue Plan and overstimulating the economy in a time which they overdid stimulus. Now, let me know your thoughts. They're saying that he needs to slow down and this is his fault. But we hear the Democratic perspective as well, and this is some really interesting content as Ro Khanna is a progressive Democrat, very much so aligned with the agenda of the Democrats, almost turning against Democratic leaders and saying, listen, let's just stop the blame game, accept where we currently are, but figure out a way to help out people in a way that will not add to debt and inflation, but will provide more assistance. And so the question is, how would we do this? Well, a lot of people have said, take those leftover funds from previous stimulus packages, over $800 billion, and use them to provide out assistance. And that's enough money to provide two $1,400 stimulus checks, a fourth and a fifth, to go out to everybody in the nation. Now, we will see. I'm going to share with you the video footage. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And also, I've been keeping you up to date on states stepping up and sending out their own stimulus packages and their own stimulus checks. And we've gotten word of some of the biggest ones so far. Alaska offering $5,500 in stimulus checks. Pennsylvania offering $2,000 stimulus checks, and they're proposing another one in addition to that. I'm going to get you caught up in an upcoming video on that as well here pretty soon. But you guys, let's dive into the articles, the details, the videos, and get you caught up on the latest. So before we do though, also wanted to mention, go join the second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. For those of you interested, talk about stocks, real estate, crypto, starting businesses. I hope it's a blessing to you. I'll pin a comment down below. Click the link, go subscribe, turn on notifications. And if you appreciate the updates here, don't forget to take a quick second, just a moment, smash that like button for me. Helps out a ton if you appreciate the content. Thank you so much. Leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, totally free, why not? Come join the Ram fam, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and if you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. I'll do my best to try to help you out with anything you got questions on. But with that being said, you guys, let's dive into the video footage. Let's first start off with a quick couple-minute clip of the Republican perspective, and then let's hear on what Ro Khanna has to say about stimulus and inflation.
Meanwhile, what appears to be gaining steam here is, who's responsible for the current economy? And while this is, President Biden's out there on the stump. Call for four guys. He's blamed just about everybody. And we can show you the list now. Putin's war in Ukraine, which probably has a role in it. It's transitory. That was used. COVID, which is partly to blame. Republican policies. You got greedy corporations. Computer chips aren't there. Climate change. Federal Reserve. On it goes. You write today that Biden casts himself as a champion of lower inflation rates. Here's the subheader on your piece. He blamed everyone from Putin to the Fed for high prices, but voters won't buy it. Why will they not buy it? Why can he not defend and sell his case and position on that?
Well, two things. One is we know the inflation started last year, long before Putin, and we know where it started. We know that it started because we had a number of economists, including Bill Clinton's Treasury Secretary, Larry Summers, say if you pass the American Rescue Plan with $1.9 trillion, it's going to set off inflation that we haven't seen in a generation. Remember, in January of 2021, when Biden comes in, inflation inflation is under 2%. And today it is 8.3%. And what happened is the classic definition of inflation is too much money chasing too few goods. And what happened with that American Rescue Plan was we dumped $2 trillion into the economy, pumping up demand, while, putting too much money out there, and it chased too few goods, and that's the classic definition of exactly what happened. People get that on a level. They think that when you depreciate the currency and you spend too much money you don't have, that something bad is going to happen. And we see it in the polls. President Biden's approval on the economy, 36%. Disapproval, 61%. On inflation, 28%, and disapproval, 67%. Those are very strong numbers. And the problem for the president is that independents, the swing voters who are going to decide the 2022 election, think a lot more like Republicans than they do Democrats. 68% of Democrats approve of the president's handling of the economy, but only 9% of Republicans and 30% of independents. On inflation, think about this. Only 54% of Democrats approve of it. Barely a majority of Democrats approve of his handling of inflation. Only 7% of Republicans and only 23% of independents. That's why the president's in deep trouble on it, and why that message of it ain't my fault, it's the Federal Reserve, it's Ukraine, it's the pandemic, it's blah, 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 blah. People are going to say, no, you're the guy in charge. You're supposed to solve the problem. And you're supposed to have an answer to solve it.
That last point on this, if you listened to Maria 20 minutes ago, what's starting to settle in here now, the economists are saying, the inflation number, maybe you can make the argument that it's peaking in some areas, but it's not over and it's not done with. And the issue there is that inflation could stick with us through the remainder of this year. And you think about how that could arrange the American economy. When you're the sitting president, that's a tough thing to fight when that tide's rolling in.
To California Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna on all of that. Congressman, always great to see you. I was thinking also, some of the books you're very thoughtful when you address some of these big issues, but in Dignity in a Digital Age, making tech work for all of us, one of the things you get into is making companies more responsive to the needs of people. Do you believe, I know that book was not about all companies, but what Nancy Pelosi is saying, that this is the Putin inflation, the Putin energy hike. Do you believe that's solely the Putin war hike?
No, I think obviously it's more complex than that. I think Putin's war has exacerbated it. But
is that a talking point? I always ask you, because you seem to be your own man in this stuff, and I always wonder, when I hear more and more Democrats saying that, and it's almost on cue, I'm beginning to wonder if it's part of a strategy. Blame it on Putin, blame it on Putin, blame it on Putin.
I don't think that's going to work. We can say that Putin has made it worse, but look, it's too much money chasing too few goods, and partly it's a supply chain disruption, partly it's too much money chasing production that has gone down, and I think the pandemic is to blame. I think it's much more complex than that, but what I do think we need to do is have far more aggressive government intervention. One idea, you may not agree with this, Neil, but President Reagan and President Roosevelt actually had the government buy up at the low points food and then sell it back to Americans at a low price. And that is something President Reagan did with cheese. FDR did it with many goods. I think we need to do something bold like that that's actually going to bring prices down. Look, I was in my district, Maria, Lupa, who was a grocery store owner. She's saying milk is up 50%. Tortillas are up 24%. Eggs are up 50%. This is a real issue.
So it's not a transitory issue to you, and to give you credit, when this was going on early, you had your concerns and doubts about that. But the longer it seems the administration, Congressman, sticks to that, or that it's that it has nothing to do with this, isn't that a fatal move for the president and the party? Do you fear that it boomerangs and he just looks out of touch?
Yeah, I think we have to be straight with people. We need to say inflation is a real threat. It's an emergency. We need to take bold actions to deal with it. Call out the National Guard on transportation. Have the government intervene, as I suggested, to try to buy at low prices and then supply to Americans.
No, that's not a crazy idea, and I didn't mean to challenge that. I think I remember, prior presidents doing that sort of thing. Old enough to remember Reagan, FDR. This might shock you. I'm not old enough to remember that, but you're quite right. I am curious about this, though, that if if you can't acknowledge a problem or your role in the problem, doesn't it invariably get back to never solving the problem then, because you're not responsible for any of it? I'm not blaming the president for all of this, but a lot of this was set in motion long before Vladimir Putin. You could say it came after the whole bust of the whole COVID experience and the boom that would inevitably follow. But to not take ownership of some of that, even getting it wrong on how long this would last, don't you think that pisses people off?
I think we should be honest. I think we should say it's complex. As you point out, part of it was COVID. Part of it is that we offshored too much production in this country and we were too dependent on supply chains. Part of it was the government spending, both under Trump and President Biden, which I still support because it helped get us out of a very difficult economic situation.
But are you for more spending then, Congressman? Because some would interpret that and say, well, you're going to take a bad thing and make it worse.
Well, I'm certainly not for more right now deficit spending, because if you pay for something, it's non-inflationary. But I'm not for, at this moment, more deficit spending that would increase excess demand. But I think we have to be honest with people first by saying, yes, inflation is real. Yes, it's hurting folks. This is not theoretical, Neil. I mean, in my district, people are complaining we don't have baby formula. I mean, one idea is let's have massive production where you can produce baby formula safely, or let's buy it from Europe and sell here. I guess, look, people don't expect miracles, but they expect the government to understand the problem and to be as bold as we can to try to tackle it. And I think that's what the Democrats need to do headed into the midterms and to solve people's real concerns.
So there you have it, you guys, the Republican and Democratic perspectives on this. And let me know your thoughts. Some very interesting content there. As we heard Ro Khanna say, one of the things the government might consider is buying goods and groceries and then reselling them at a lower price to directly help out the American people with inflation. Very interesting thought there. Let me know what you think about that. And also, are we going to be seeing some form of stimulus checks? We're hearing about tax credits, all these provisions, but we're going to see what actually makes it through. There's a lot of things happening in Congress right now. I'll be sure to keep you guys up to date here on the channel. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for joining me, even on a Saturday. I hope that this is a blessing to you and you have a great day. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, take a quick second, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Helps me out a ton. Thank you so much. Leave your comments, share this out. If you want to stay up to date, I'll let you know everything going on, totally free. Why not? Come join the Ram fam. Hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. Any specific questions, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3, and consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. But with that being said, you guys, once again, thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.